Hello and welcome to another awesome episode on the official AE Racing YouTube channel. My name's Rob.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Mike.
I'm Mike. Sorry again. And my name's Mike. And we've got some catching up to do.
Yeah, a lot of catching up to do.
All of this.
Since the last time that you saw us, the Fonz has been out on track multiple times. The main times though is during two races. Mike had one at Brands, but before that I had my first ever race at Donington. And there were some pretty changeable conditions, as these videos show you. Where are we, Mike?
We're back.
Where?
At Donington Park. How are you going to get this podium?
So, expectations. Okay. So new driver, new car, so the expectations are that we're probably going to be at the back somewhere. How am I going to get on the podium? Hope that everyone else spins off at Redgate, hits the gravel, and I can just around the inside.
I'll see what I can do.
Yes.
If everyone does that now though, it was not me.
Yeah. Keep an eye on Mike.
Yeah. So Jonathan Lisetta, who did well in this when it was a series last year, goes from 5th to 1st at Redgate round the outside. Ben Powley's much quicker. He gets 2nd. There's a car that gets tagged round. There's 3 or 4 cars at least that are off there at Redgate. Do they all get back going?
So as you can see from that onboard footage, it was a pretty wet race. But regardless of the rain, I did still manage to get a good battle at the back of the pack with a couple of the other guys. The second race came around though. Conditions were a little bit different. Once again, there was also a big build-up. I just about managed to nip through without any damage to the car. But the race turned into a bit of a lonely one then. And unfortunately, we had another problem. The gearbox blew up again.
We ruined another gearbox. I don't know if we've ruined another gearbox, but this prop shaft has ruined another gearbox anyway.
Prop shaft kills gearboxes for a living.
Yeah. So we knew there was a slight possibility with Rob's gearbox blowing up. We thought we'd done enough to sort of hold it off, but this is the problem with it. So this is an off-the-shelf bought prop shaft, and it was too short basically, which puts the weight in the wrong position on the end here, and it just means you get vibrations, ruins the bearings, blows the gearbox up. Quite spectacular in Rob's case as well. But you always got to make lemonade out, what's the saying? I can't remember, lemonade out of limes or some rubbish like that. But what we did, we made some gearboxes into a nice little table, and then we turned the insides into some little medals for some of the simulator competitions we run. So that leads us on to my race, Brands Hatch, which in itself is a fairly scary track anyway. But I gave myself a little bit more work to do in the sense that I had the opportunity to race the BMW I've raced previously as well as our own Fonz. So I jumped at the chance, because why wouldn't you? Did mean I had a lot to do. Even if there was a bit of lawn mowing in the BMW involved in there, it was still a fairly good race.
Racecar driver.
And I gave myself a hell of a lot to do that weekend as well, this weekend.
Yeah.
I was driving BMW with Ed as well, which that was a belter of a race. I gained like, I don't know, 5 or 6 positions, I think, maybe even more in that race, which was great fun.
Go on, Mike, go on, Mike, go on, Mike!
Fun. Straight out of that, straight into the Ma7da. But the 2 races that I'd done in the Fonz were both really good races, had great fun doing it. The thing just drive really well, except for 2 slight issues. One of them being a bit down on power, which the start-finish straight was the main place where we found that. I was just getting swamped. The second one was pad knockback, which is proper scary. You're going into a corner, you press the brake pedal, the pedal goes completely long, doesn't slow you down at all. That got really scary. Rob will tell you about how bad brakes can get though in the next race.
We figured out what the pad knockback might have been for Mike's race, and that was the two wheel bearings, so we got that sorted out. And to make sure that that was all working as it should do, obviously you need your brakes and these sort of things, we decided to book the test day just before Cadwell. Now this is where things get interesting, because there was two major incidents. Now the first one was severe, and this is real footage of it in real time. Check it out. Despite that devastating crash, I know it's hard to watch, the car survived, didn't have any damage at all. We started getting faster and faster on what is a very technical track, but it is an awesome track, very intense. But we got faster and faster as we was going through this session. Unfortunately, again, we probably pushed it a little bit too hard. Now, much like when the gearbox blew up at Donington, the GoPro decided that it would run out of battery, and we didn't actually get the crash on footage. But as you can see, this is the result. The pedal ended up going long. We ended up getting massive brake fade going into a very sharp corner called the hairpin, and me and the tyre wall became best friends. One thing I forgot to tell you about was that Mike, when I was heading into the tyre wall about 40 miles an hour, he was walking back to meet me, and he actually fell down a hole. He got messed up by a hole, ended up on crutches. Let's go and see what he's got to say about it. Hey Mike, I've got to ask you, how's your foot doing, man? What happened again?
Someone distracted me by crashing into a wall that I couldn't see. And then there was a rabbit hole, and yeah, I fell in a hole basically. I fell in a hole, I ruined my ankle. All right, fuck off. So as you can see from these pictures, the Fonz was looking in a bit of a sorry state thanks to Rob's driving. No, it wasn't thanks to Rob's driving. It was the brakes that caused us the hassle, as Rob mentioned. Now the main part, as bad as it looked, this bar had taken most of the force and it had sort of pushed itself inwards and bent, not too far, but that far. But that in turn pulled this corner back in a little bit. The radiator was obviously completely ruined. That took a very large chunk of the force. And the steering rack mounting points, which are these bits down here, they'd sort of pushed over a little bit as well. But it wasn't too bad, to be honest. We've managed to straighten this out. This other bar down here, that one straightened out pretty well. Then there was a bit of measuring using something called the datum, which Joe told me about. Technical stuff, engineering stuff, really. Some numbers and rubbish. To get the suspension points back in line, basically. That's the main bit. So that we don't end up crabbing down the road when we're trying to go straight. As I mentioned, the brake fade being the bit that caused the problem. So we had the bias set quite far forwards because we've still got drums on the back. We did have the kit ready to put the rear disc conversion on, but we just hadn't had time to do it. So now the car's like this, we've been forced to do it, we can crack on with it now. And hopefully for the next outing, which is me at Cadwell Park, which is another fast, really technical circuit, which I'm quite looking forward to, we should have rear brake discs all sorted, and then we shouldn't have the same problem again. Fingers crossed.
So if you enjoyed this video, you want to see us do more racing, more parts, buying more parts, fitting them to the car, there's plenty more to come, then hit the subscribe button. hit the like button because that helps us out as well, and we shall see you on the next video. Cheers for watching.